Totally. And, you mentioned the ticket availability thing and safety protocols and how they said that all of that will be announced in the coming weeks. But what will it mean to you and all the other performers if fans are able to come back to this show in some capacity? What will it mean to you to have that energy back from all the fans?
Man, I mean everything, to be honest, because it's been tough. It's my whole career has been based off of reactions. Like everything is due to interactions. I mean, that's kind of always been, my measuring stick is like, even when, the fans they hated me, it was still louder than everybody else. You know what I mean? And like everybody else can complain. They can go and bitch and complain about, oh, I don't get this opportunity, or I should be like this, or I should be here, I should be the main event. But when it came down to it, my reaction was always way louder than everybody else's. There's only one guy, Cena, that's it. And it was obvious for obvious reasons, and he's no longer here anymore. But that's the difference, is we don't have that. So you have to be able to pull out different tools. You can't be a one-trick pony. And I feel like people called me that quite a bit, in the first part of my career, a limited move set, what have you. But like, being in this time, in these pandemic times, you got to be able to pull out different layers to your performance, different, attributes, and show different tools. And that's what I've done over the past 6 months, is show a different side of me as a performer, completely change the dynamic to my matches and the way people perceive my storytelling in ring. Added so much more dialogue to now everybody wants to cut a promo while they're wrestling. And they can't, because I'm the one that's doing it at the top level. So when it gets compared to what I'm doing, I cried in the ring, for Christ's sake. You know what I mean? Like, and to be able to tap into these emotions and to be able to put on these type of performances, I just feel like I'm doing it at a different level. And I've had to do that because I don't have that security blanket of the reactions being really loud. Hell, like if I ever got to a point where it's like, man, I don't know what I want to do, all I got to do is sit still and look at the crowd, and they'll make some kind of noise, you know what I mean? But I don't have that vehicle there anymore. So you have to really be smart about the way you put on your performance nowadays.
Without fans there, I feel like you guys have all had to really almost like rethink the craft as a whole in general for all those reasons. Like, you're not making this person in the crowd pop anymore. Instead, you're doing stuff that's more TV friendly, that stuff that's going to tell that's going to show for the viewer on TV. When you were away for a little while, did you kind of like reconstruct how you were going to think when you returned to the ring and how you were going to do everything different? Because like you said, everything has been just a total different character. You've changed everything, the nickname, you've added more moves, you talk in the ring loudly now. Like you said, you cried once. Was this something that subconsciously you thought about while you were away to figure out how you were going to apply it to wrestling when you came back?
Yeah, I watched a couple of the shows. I did not follow it like thoroughly. I try to use as much of the time to be with my family and just, really focus in and be present here at home. But on a few of the shows that I saw, I was just like, man, this is trash. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not even like, and that's me from the very top thinking this, because I always want to be way better than everybody else. There's no disrespect to what they were doing. They're busting their ass, working really hard. But for me, I was like, man, I know when it's time to pull my trigger, I know exactly what I want to do. I know exactly the kind of stories that I want to tell and the different tools that I want to utilize in order to connect with our crowd, our audience that's watching at home. But I knew it was just all based off of emotion. I knew that I had to be emotionally connected to what I was doing to be able to wear the skin of the character that I'm trying to convey to our audience. So that was the most important thing, is that I could completely focus in and concentrate, 100% on what I was trying to do, and the emotions that I was trying to convey throughout my narrative.
So I got two more questions for you, and then I'll let you get out of here. First, I'm fascinated by your heel turn, because it feels like this is something fans have been clamoring for for what it feels like forever at this point. Like you said, they were already booing you and they were supposed to be cheering for you. Can you talk at all about how it finally came to fruition before you returned at SummerSlam? Is this something that you pushed for? Is this an idea that was brought to you? Like, how did it all finally come together?
I've always wanted to turn heel. I've always like I didn't feel like I should have like been the babyface out of the Shield group. We all agreed. We thought it should have been Seth, and then keep me as a bad guy. But it just happens the way it happens. The numbers lined up the way they did. Things were starting to work as a good guy for me, and then obviously it took a toll here and there, and there were some nights where there's some loud boos, and people like they take that response and they run with it because sometimes it was at the shows that were big and that were seen, the pay-per-views, the Royal Rumble in Philly. Just about everybody gets booed in Philly. You know what I'm saying? Like those Philly is so loud. They're going to boo Daniel Bryan one day. You know what I mean? Like that's how just Philly works. It's just Philly. So, but like people aren't there every single week, to see all the live events, to see, how well the live events would be doing or the tours would be doing. We'd be selling out houses and I'd be the top babyface, crowd going nuts, cheering the hell out of me. So it was one of those things where it was like, man, I want to do this because I know I can tap into a different level of character work. I know I can create so many more layers as a performer if they allow me to do this, but the numbers just wouldn't let me. Like I said before, the response, no matter what, was always big. And in this day and age, I think controversy is always sold, but if you don't have a certain level of negativity coming at you, you might not be doing as good as you think you are. If you don't have that many haters, you know what I mean? Like I think Kobe said it, like you got to have some haters, that's the key to success sometimes. But I think the true key to that success is how you handle the haters, how you, in your psyche can, allow them to affect you or not affect you. But yeah, man, I wanted to for a long time. And when the opportunity came, I jumped on it. It was kind of a team discussion. Obviously, you got to have the big man involved, and he's got to have the blessing from him. But it just, excuse me, it just all seemed to work out with perfect timing. And I think we're in a point where we're in a time frame, being in a pandemic, no crowds, no ticket sales. Let's just create this content. And take care of our television providers and our audiences watching at home. Let's take a chance. You know what I mean? If there's not, if this ain't the time to gamble, then I don't know when is. So I'm glad we did.